Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. This year, little kids, I've brought you a very special treat for a movie.
Woo!
And it involves a little creature.
Is it ghoulies?
Is it?
No.
Critters?
No.
What's a little creature movie? I can't think of what other movies it could be.
Hobgoblins, munchies.
Hobgoblins?
No,
Munchies?
it's not. It's not hobgoblins or munchies. I'll give you a hint.
Is it Troll? Is it Troll 2?
Ooh, you're getting warmer. I'll give you a hint. I'm Santa, so it involves Christmas.
It's Gremlins. It's a little kid's voice.
Nice. Gremlins.
Well, no, we can't afford Gremlins in this house.
Gremlins 2.
So Gremlins 2 doesn't actually take place on Christmas.
Infant Home Alone?
But, no, it's Elves. It's 1989's Elves. Merry Christmas. I'm gonna go because you might not like this one. I'll see you later. Enjoy your present, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
I filed this.
Santa stinks.
I filed this candy cane down to a point, and I say we stab Santa.
10 out of 10 stabs. Bye.
No, he's still there. He's just standing
disappeared.
there. Santa, go away. What are you doing?
I can't fit up the chimney.
I can see you behind the tree.
Standing still and
look
shouting
over
by at us
here.
is like waving hello. Or nodding your head yes while saying no. This doesn't make any sense. You're making me uncomfortable. Santa, put your pants back on.
This is going on too long. And I kind of turned into a ghost.
Stabby Stabby.
Ho, 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 Merry Stabs. I'm not as good a Santa as Greg is, so hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Stabby Stabby. It's our Christmas extravaganza. We're here to watch a movie together. We're going to watch 1989's Elves. But first, my name's Dan. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm drinking a Root Down Brewing Company Bine. It's the beer that won Best IPA in all of America in 2018. And let me tell you, tastes just as good today. It's a good, delicious, crisp, refreshing beer, and it's a beer I enjoy drinking almost as much as I enjoy talking to Eric. What you up to, buddy?
Hey, I am wearing a candy cane pajamas with a little Christmas hat on, and I'm drinking a cup of hot cocoa. Actually, I'm in a t-shirt and jeans, and I just have Coke. But I'm in the Christmas spirit. I'm ready for smells. And Greg, what are you up to?
Hey, well, I'm drinking a classic Christmas beer, which is Trogs Brewing Company's Master of Pumpkins. It's throwing it back to October. Yeah, so not nothing Christmas. But I do love candy canes, and I'm looking forward to Santa bringing me some special treats from his bag.
I want to know more about Greg's household's Christmas. This sounds interesting.
Yeah. Do you have any stories from the past you'd like to share?
No, you just reach into his bag, see what grows.
Oh, it's a custom
for you as a
growing
present.
gift. It's like Shrinky Dinks.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it materializes.
Oh.
But you don't reach into Santa's bag.
Speaking of
Is this like
childhood
one of your
drama, we
neighbors?
just watched a movie called Elves that features a considerable amount of childhood drama. How do we land on this movie? Who first learned about this fucking trash? Sorry, I shouldn't give my hand away.
I
think it was Greg.
I know.
Wasn't it you?
I think we picked it up from VHSPS.
Oh, that's right.
Several years ago. And not to kind of spill the beans, But originally, when we started Stabby Stabby, this was going to be our first episode. And it was just Dan and I recording, and we were both too drunk and opted to not release
all
that.
my words.
I listen to it, and I love it. I think it's great. So maybe at some point we can...
Maybe we'll find like a choice
chunk
of it, and we can throw it on the end of this episode as a tag. Or maybe if one day, if Santa brings us a Patreon, we can post this as a Patreon thing. Yeah, give us $1,000 and we'll let you listen to us be drunk as fuck. It's pretty something.
But yeah, this has been a holiday favorite of mine for the last few years. So I'm looking forward to talking about it again for the first time.
I think we all bought it from VHSPS, right? We all have it.
My running strategy, I've talked about it before on this
yeah.
podcast. My running strategy with VHSPS is just to buy based on artwork alone. I try not to read too much when I buy them. And I think this is the first thing I ever bought from them because the artwork is glorious. It's ridiculous. Nice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, they have that 50% sale off every year at like Thanksgiving, and it's
like $5 a movie.
Load up.
Easy peasy. No, yeah. You know, this year, let Santa's sack be filled with bullshit from VHSPS. The place where 1 out of 10 movies you buy is awesome.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
that is true. It's a crapshoot.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of crapshoots, let's go meet some elves.
Now let's get to the plot.
So 1989's Elves, directed by Jeff Mandel, opens up on some soft music and Christmas decorations and a Christmas ball falling off the tree and shattering, and then we get the title Elves fades into the screen. From there we cut to nighttime, and Kirsten, Amy, and Brooke are 3 kind of main characters. Kirsten is the main one. They're in the woods, and they are the sisters of Anti-Christmas. Kind of like a little witch coven, maybe. She had stolen her grandfather's, I guess, like occult book or something, and she also brought a drawing with her of their new symbol, which is basically just a naked woman that she describes as having Art Deco boobs, which came to her in a dream. So they set up shop at quote unquote the right spot in the forest. Kirsten just kind of feels that. She ends up cutting her hand, and blood falls on the ground. And they end up leaving pretty quickly after they had gotten there. And as they leave, a monster hand comes out of the ground. And the movie just kicks off right away with a monster hand.
Whoa!
Yeah, be careful.
Santa's been busy. I love it.
This is the year.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Sorry.
Dan.
No, please, after you.
I was going to say, this is the original War on Christmas. Here, these girls. They're not happy.
No.
You know what I love is this is 1989, and these 3 girls are like, Christmas is a shallow commercial for-profit capitalist holiday or something. They got some like string of adjectives that is 100% true and applicable and has only gotten more true as time has gone by. But the way I think they have like one line where they talk about being anti-Christmas and it totally tracks. And one of them says something like we bemoan what the holiday has become. And then somebody else is like, what does bemoan mean? So they kind of have it both ways. Like, they're kind of smart, and I dig what they're saying, but also they're dumb girls.
Well, after she says, like, what does bemoan mean? They go, I think Kirsten might say something about, like, oh, it means I didn't get the presents I wanted last year. So they're still reinforcing that, like, commercialism of Christmas.
That's still pretty great.
It didn't work out quite for them.
Yeah.
I like when they showed the drawing, the girl, the main girl, what's her name, Kristen, she was like, this is a drawing of a virgin, and the other girl goes, ew. It's like ridiculous.
Dude, the one girl, all she talks about is just like banging and dicks the whole movie.
Yeah, I'm assuming she's the lingerie girl later on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. It fits her character.
She's like the horny vessel for the 3 of them.
What's this? It's our symbol, the Virgin of Anti-Christmas.
Virgin? Ew.
I dreamed those Art Deco boobs. Cool, huh?
Oh no. Isn't this your grandfather's book?
Yeah, he also told me never to come out here.
Oh, royal bust if he finds out.
Yeah.
And I do love that these three girls are set up to be kind of like dimwits, I guess, or like a little ditzy. And at first I'm like, oh, okay, they're just having fun. They're being teenage girls. But about where they all cut their hands on a candle, like who gashes their hand lighting a candle? I don't even know how that science works.
Oh, this candle.
Fuck, man, that fire really cut my palm.
So Kirsten ends up back at home, and she is immediately confronted by her grandfather, who also immediately just slaps her twice.
Oh, man. And he's in a wheelchair.
And he's an old man in a wheelchair.
That abuse took effort. He had to like get out of his chair to do it. Shitty old man.
He slapped her once for being in his room and once for taking his book. She was also out in the forest, which he had told her to never go into the forest, but she lies and says she wasn't. Yeah. So from there we get a sweet monster POV shot of the creature walking through the woods, and this creature must be related to the Slithis monster because its vision is fucking terrible. It just covered it in Vaseline and Coke bottles.
Yeah, filmed through the neck of a Coke bottle. 100%.
Yeah.
Although I like anytime there's a creature feature and they show you a POV shot, I just love it. I love the effort. I'm here for it.
Hey, I agree. And keep in mind, we are watching a VHS rip of this movie, which VHS doesn't have good quality to begin with, but I could only assume that this movie was not good quality to begin with, so...
And it's well known that elves have a glaucoma problem. So that's just, we're just highlighting that for us.
I mean, I would have a hard time
part
seeing...
of their breeding.
I would have a hard time seeing if I was a rubber mask on the end of somebody's arm. That's for sure. Maybe we should set up from the start, or I'll say from the start, there's not a lot like visually to talk about with this movie because I'm pretty sure it was like a $10 budget and every scene is lit with a spotlight and the camera really doesn't move at all. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that you call back to Spawn of Slithis because it's really similar like direction going on. Not a lot of, I don't know, was there anything like visually exciting about any of this movie to you guys?
Dan Haggerty.
Obviously, aside from the animalistic machismo charms of Dan Haggerty's Santa-clad body, was there anything exciting about this, like visually?
I don't think so. I mean, it looks like a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah,
for the most part. Some of the elf stuff was, even though it was like the same, it didn't really move all that much. It's like face. Some of it was cool, but
it had very little when he's wearing the Santa hat later in the movie. It's probably the best shot, which almost without a doubt was added after the fact.
Yeah, it's completely unnecessary. It's like he's
even show where he got the hat from.
Yeah, he's just like fucking around. Yeah,
you know that was like the stinger for some trailer that they had. Yeah.
They're like, Gizmo wears a Santa hat.
You know,
oh shit.
I think you were agreeing with me, Greg, that it wasn't that visually interesting, but then you happen to remind me of maybe the most visually interesting thing that I've ever seen, which is an evil elf wearing a Santa hat. So I take it back.
But again, that's one thing.
Step aside, Stanley Kubrick. This movie, as you stopped.
All right, so let's move on. I got a lot of plot to get through because this movie is like 84 minutes and it has so much going on.
Did you guys? Sorry, did you guys get a weird vibe from the grandfather when she's like, "Oh, I cut my hand," and he's like, "Let's wash it." The way he like said it, but she's like, "No, I'm good. That's no thanks."
I'd rather not.
Yeah,
I mean, she basically she pretty much said like, "I'm a 40-year-old actress playing a 16-year-old. I can wash my own hand. Thank you very much."
Figure it out.
She said that on screen. It was so weird.
Yeah. Actually, I guess it really took you out of the movie, but
there are some twists that I don't want to give away, but I wonder if later on, like blood plays a role. I wonder if at the time he was like, "Oh, this precious blood," like maybe he's being like protective about it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right, secret blood.
Have we met her brother
Remember
yet?
that,
Just
everybody.
wake me up when we meet her brother. All right, I'm gonna take.
That's coming. Yeah, it's coming. So, but first, before we meet her brother, we're gonna meet her mom, who's a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, fuck her. I hate her. Sorry, keep going.
I mean, I think we learn eventually her reasoning behind being a piece of shit, but That was a long time ago. Anyway, she punishes Kirsten for going out by saying that she's going to take all of her money that she had worked for and saved. That's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't you know how some kids get grounded and other kids get, pushed around or hit around or whatever? This woman drains her daughter's savings account every time she does something wrong.
Man.
Just getting her used
rough.
to the concept of fines, I guess.
Yeah.
Parenting.
But from there, we do get a quick cut to some short, gratuitous shower scene nudity. And Kirsten gets out of the shower, and her younger brother is peeping at her in the bathroom, and he delivers one of the best lines in any movie ever. And
I'm assuming we're just going to cut that in.
Cut it in. Yeah. So I'll just say it so we can react to it. But he says, what does he say?
My sister's got big fucking tits, and I'm going to tell everybody I saw them.
Yeah. Well, even before that, he's like, I like seeing naked women or naked
that's
girls.
Right. It's just so over the top and ridiculous, and I don't know, maybe it makes sense.
She's like, you, and like gives him a noogie.
Yeah, they do kind of get past it pretty quick, and they fight a little, but then they make up, and then they kind of like play fight at that point.
You pervert! I'm not a pervert. I like seeing naked girls. I'm your fucking sister. Yeah, and you've got fucking big tits, and I'm gonna tell everybody I saw them.
Get out of here! You're not supposed to be in here without my permission.
Yeah, well, fuck you. Mom says she's giving me all your money, so fuck you.
So this is when the brother and the sister, after he spies on her naked and she's still wet and wrapped in a towel, they collapse into their bed, or like his bed, tickle fighting. Like, no matter what, this kid's gonna grow up with some really specific fetishes. But just based on that line we just heard, I just want to read off the names of the writers. It's Jeffrey Mandel, the director, Mike Griffin, and Bruce A. Taylor. Gentlemen, I thank you.
We applaud you.
Good work.
It's fantastic. I like that the kid has a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt, the little brother.
Yeah.
I
like
swear to God, I had that.
Did you have that note?
No, I think I had that shirt.
Oh, you had that
like
shirt.
those pajamas.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to think there was like a licensing agreement with them, like them pitching the concept. It's a foul mouth like little kid. He likes to spy on his sister in the shower.
We talked to Mr. Teenage Turtles, and he said you're allowed to use the logo on the shirt as long as he says the phrase "big fucking titties" at some point while wearing it.
Sign me up.
Yeah, marketing says
for our brand.
Yeah.
Now in this scene, important thing to
market
take.
research shows the Ninja Turtles don't have many boobs in them.
So you just got April O'Neil and Bebop and Rocksteady. That's about it.
I don't know who's that old man rat in the sewer. He's pretty cute.
Splinter,
He's got big boobs.
Yeah, I like Splinter.
All right, Krang's got some pecs going.
All right,
the robot Krang.
Welcome to Stabby Stabby.
And also,
Which
Krang
Teenage
himself is
Mutant
kind of
Ninja
just
Turtle?
a skinned boob. So
there we go.
Yeah, so there you go, Krang. You got it. All right. Well, moving on. One thing to take note of in this scene, though, is while Kirsten and her brother are kind of like play fighting, the elf which is the just a spoiler alert, the creature that came out of the ground is an elf. The elf is watching through the window and seeing them fight. And we also learned that Kirsten has a cat named Agamemnon, which is a girl.
Yeah.
But that's not really quite important yet, and not really that important, but...
The cat's adorable, and I love that name for a cat.
It's a cat, yeah. So during the night, the elf breaks a window and gets into the basement, and he ends up attacking the little brother, but he runs away when other people start coming in because the little kid's screaming. And my favorite part is that the little brother describes the troll as a fucking little ninja troll.
Wait, does he say ninja or does he say midget?
I think it says ninja.
Oh, okay.
I thought he said ninja. Yeah.
Oh, that's way better. That's way better. I thought he was being disparaging towards little people. All right. I like ninja much better.
Yeah, because it's quiet and it's snuck in.
That makes sense. And then the kid crawls under his blanket and jerks off to his sister and a ninja elf. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting all messed up. Santa brought him trauma.
I think more people would have seen this if it was called Little Ninja Troll.
Oh.
Fucking little ninja troll. Because this kid always has to say fuck.
Get these motherfucking ninja trolls out of my motherfucking room.
He's like the little disco mutants in Radioactive Dreams. They're given an opportunity to curse and they just run with it. But yeah, so the mom blames the cat Agamemnon on the attack. So she's like, it's just that she hates that cat.
She does.
Oh yeah, looking for an excuse.
Really, the mom just hates anything that makes people happy. They make the mom just an evil character. And yeah, I guess, Greg, you were right to point out that later on it's revealed that the mom has some fucking trauma in her past.
Mm-hmm.
She's still a pretty evil, spiteful bitch, and it's fun to watch her die later. So let's keep moving because I want to relive that moment because she is just evil. She's awful.
We got about 2 hours till we get there, but let's keep rolling. So next day we meet Mike McGavin, played by the ultra handsome Dan Haggerty, my 80s hero. Yeah. And he enters Golems, I believe it's pronounced, the department store that Kirsten works at when she works in like the diner of the department store. It's really weird.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Who would win in a fight, Hugo Stieglitz or Dan Haggerty?
Dan Haggerty. No doubt.
You think so?
I think Dan could bear hug him and just like put him to sleep or something. You know?
Yeah, but Hugo could like charm him and make him make him eggs naked on his boat.
Is it like, are they having a sex off? Because then Hugo's winning.
All right, three straight guys in a podcast. Who's sexier, Dan Haggerty or Hugo Stieglitz?
I think, listen, Hugo's sexier. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
All right. We're all agreed here. We're all Hugo boys, but we all think that we would fight on Dan's side.
We should mention that Dan Haggerty played Grizzly Adams in the movie and the TV series. So
so if you don't know,
he looks like a bear. The big furry guy.
Yeah, and he I think the cigarette's just a part of his mouth, right?
Yeah,
it's baked in.
Yeah.
Every time the character wasn't meant to be smoking, it's just every time the director removed the cigarette from the stage, they would turn around and he just had another one. So they just gave in.
Just kept popping out.
Yeah.
I like his action sequences. He's like doing like barrel rolls and the cigarette's still in his mouth. like he's almost near death. There's gunshots over his head. He's like, I gotta smoke this cigarette. So.
Takes the drag and reloads.
And just like, I love his character in this movie because he gets shit on the entire movie and he always just remains super pleasant. Everybody that's being shitty to him.
He's like, have a nice day.
Yeah.
He's like,
oh man,
isn't there? That's like a trope, isn't it? Like the action guy who knows how to take shit, but then like in the third act can't take it anymore, and then just dishes it really hard. That's kind of what his arc is. Yeah, I know that they do that a lot.
Breaks him. So this is not, you totally cut this, but I've got 3 little Dan Haggerty facts here.
Yeah, Haggerty facts.
Let's go. Haggerty watch.
Haggerty facts. So in 1977, now I'm assuming this is real. This is according to Wikipedia. His beard caught fire when he was
smoking.
No, when he was drinking a flaming cocktail.
Don't do that.
And
Not with a beard.
He got 3rd-degree burns on his arm.
No way.
There's some other manly stuff that he did.
Wait, keep going.
He got in a motorcycle accident that put him in a coma. And he just woke up from it one day. And the third thing that I thought was interesting was he was convicted of selling cocaine to an undercover officer.
Hell yes. Dan Haggerty.
Crazy.
Get out of this movie and get into my arms. What a man.
But the beard catching fire, I was like, that can't be real. But maybe, I don't know.
Have you been on the internet? I feel like half of the internet is cat videos and the other half of the internet is videos of people trying to drink flaming cocktails and just setting themselves on fire.
Oh, there you go.
I've seen that so many times. Oh, and the other half is porn. There's 3 halves to the internet.
Combine them all together.
Yeah. You end up with like a furry setting themselves on fire. That's the internet.
It also said this had a PG-13 rating.
Really?
Yeah, nudity.
Okay. There's a lot of fucks in it. I thought PG-13 you have like 1 fuck.
There's a lot of fucks.
I don't know when that started.
There's like genital violence, and there's like 2 full frontal nude scenes. That's a lot of PG-13.
Yeah, I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Plus the fucks come from like a little kid. Doesn't that make it worse somehow?
I think that cancels it out. I think it makes it.
Oh, now that makes sense.
It's like innocent swearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please don't take take your film history from us.
Yeah.
No, please do. This is accredited. If you want to get an A or R class, you have to give us a 5-star review and tell us why you deserve it. Please, thank you. All 5 stars. I appreciate you.
All right. So we got Dan Haggerty's.
Yeah, we are 2 seconds into this movie. Let's keep going.
Dan Haggerty needs a job.
So yeah, just to revisit,
You're jumping ahead.
She has a weirdo brother who's the best part of the movie. Well, second best part of the movie. We have the sister. We have Dan Haggerty, who's a hunk and a half with a beard for days, who's always smoking cigarettes. We've got a horrible bitch of a mom who is like psychologically abusive, and we have a grandpa that's just like slap happy.
Yeah,
right,
he's a slap happy German. I didn't mention he's German.
Yeah, well, you know
that'll come up.
I think that's implied with the slapping part. But yeah,
well, I don't know. But
that German accent. Oh my,
it's definitely authentic.
It's rough.
It's very real. Yeah.
All right, so we got Dan Haggerty. I'm just moving along. This is gonna be the longest episode ever. We got Dan Haggerty's Mike McGavin entering Golem's, the department store. Kirsten is working in the diner. She and her 2 friends, Amy and Brooke, are talking, and we learn that Kirsten's mother gave birth to her when she was 16, and Kirsten's like not really happy with her life, but to make herself happy, they decide to have some fun and go goof on Santa, which is something she's been waiting to do all day.
This is before cell phones. This is what kids did to have fun.
Yeah, they hung out at department stores and sat on Santa's lap.
Yep.
Which sounds pretty good.
Okay, tell us more.
I'm just gonna move on from that.
Bad Santa.
So Dan Haggerty finds the store manager and asks him for a job. We learn that his character Mike is a recovering alcoholic, and I'm not saying that Dan Haggerty is also, but his character is definitely a recovering alcoholic.
Can we just call Mike Dan Haggerty the whole time?
Yeah, I'm just gonna call him Dan Haggerty or Detective Santa later. So
yeah, I didn't even write his character named out.
Yeah.
Did we mention the mall owner's a piece of shit? Have we talked about the mall owner, that he's a piece of shit? All the adults in this movie suck. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, they do. But it's not a mall. It's just a department store.
Oh, well, he sucks. The owner of the department store sucks.
But just like Jesus with no room in the inn, there's no jobs here for Dan Haggerty.
I love that.
At Christmas time.
Oh.
And he ends up leaving. He seems like he feels very dejected. He's kind of come back from alcoholism. He's really trying to restart his life. It's fucking Christmas time. Give this beautiful man a job.
Man. He wanted a security job, right?
He wanted any job.
He was like a detective, right? And then alcoholism ruined it for him. So he just wants a starting point.
He was a detective. Then he worked like store security, and now he's got nothing. So now we meet the store Santa, who is a really garbage Santa. And Kirsten ends up sitting on his lap. He's a garbage Santa for more than one reason. He looks terrible as Santa. Yeah. His beard's falling off. He's like,
he weighs like 100 pounds wet. Like, I don't know whoever the mall manager fucking sucks because he hired the wrong Santa. You
got Dan Haggerty there. He's made to be Santa.
Exactly.
So Santa ends up feeling up Kirsten's leg. And he whispers the word oral to her, and she didn't hear him. And he just replies with,
"Excuse me, pardon me."
He just replies with, "Santa said oral," and she slaps him.
Ho, ho, ho. And what do you want for Christmas, little girl?
For it not to be Christmas.
Why?
I hate snow. Can you make it snow?
Oral.
What?
Santa said oral.
And then in the meantime, it's not just upper leg. He's like running his hand under her skirt. Like it's yeah. So you know Santa's gonna die as soon as right. It's the horror movie rules. When somebody's like morally abhorrent, they're gonna bite it in a fun way. Yeah.
Now these upcoming scenes are intercut with another scene, and I'll just go through that intercut first.
Sure. Oh man.
Because we have we're back at
1-2 punch.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, 1989.
We're back at Kirsten's house and her
time.
mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kirsten's mom shoves Agamemnon the cat into a pillowcase and ends up drowning it in a toilet and burying it in the backyard. And while like commenting on it, saying that at least she'll have some new fertilizer or something like that. She sucks. But the Santa also sucks because after he gets slapped, he gets sent back to Santa's changing room.
Yeah.
Santa's concrete closet.
It's Santa's office. Just
I guess. Yeah.
What's clearly a janitorial closet. It's also Santa's workshop.
Yeah, and it's also where he decides to line up a bunch of coke as well. And as he's about to do that,
Hey, you know
he gets
what?
attacked.
Santa's beard gets white for a reason.
There you go.
Yeah, he's got a lot of gifts to deliver. I don't know how you think that works, but it's not pretty.
Yeah, you gotta jack yourself up.
Yeah.
You gotta stay up all night.
Santa's nose has one nostril, kids. I hate to tell you.
That's why it's always red too.
Oh. Mrs. Claus moved into the guest house a long time ago.
Yeah, well, this guy's
a piece of shit.
Teen girls.
Yeah. Santa says move out.
He's getting his comeuppance because he's doing his coke, and then Ed ends up getting attacked by the elf, who stabs him in the dick at least 9 times. So the elf is giving this movie 9 out of 10 stabs. That's all I'm saying.
I shat on the way this movie looks because it is kind of ugly. Although maybe the transfer is to blame. You're right. Maybe the transfer is to blame. But I do like the stabbing sequences. They're all fun. The dick stabbing was effective and good and well edited. I liked it.
It's a lot to take in like a minute and a half. Santa
everything I
oral.
said so far has been about a minute and a half of the movie too.
Santa said oral, drowning a cat, and then getting stabbed in the dick 9 times.
After doing like 12 rails of coke.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's great.
Yeah.
Merry
Welcome
Christmas.
to 1989, baby.
When the men were men, the women were women, and the cats were drowned.
In a toilet.
Merry Christmas.
So Shitty Claus is now dead, and I guess Mrs. Claus eventually quickly finds his body in the back, and Santa's little, chair area.
Yeah, the Santa's janitorial room. Yeah.
No, so the kid, it's shut down. The kids can't see Santa anymore. The cops come, but they don't really do anything besides one of them just like tasting some of the cocaine that's still just left over.
Rubs it on his gums, gets high.
They quickly interview Kirsten. Yeah. It's
he just
80s,
had to,
man.
He just had to check, Eric. All right, it's just part of police work.
Yep, that's cool.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Here we go.
Way.
I think I found more police work over here. Bring that back.
They interview Kirsten real quick. Basically kind of accusing her of killing Santa Claus because they were like, well, he groped you and then you slapped him, and then 5 minutes later he's found dead just by being stabbed in the dick.
I mean, when you say it that way,
I don't blame him, but also like she didn't like disappear, I'm sure, at any point. Like,
I'm just saying this is a prequel to Miss 45 and I'm here for it. I'm here for it and I'm game.
There you go. We got to re-edit it and make it a Christmas movie.
Actually, I should have mentioned, I've written my notes. I have 2 thoughts back to back. The first thought is, oh man, why fuck with a guy's dick? And then the next thought was, oh yeah, he molested a woman. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, movie. I like that.
Yeah, laying it out right. So Santa's dick is dead, and he's dead, and Kirsten ends up going back home for the night. and immediately starts looking for her cat, which we know is no longer around. We also see Dan Haggerty go home to his trailer, but he's evicted from there. So again, can't catch a break. He even makes a comment that, like, I don't remember exactly what he says, but he's just like, I can't believe I'm getting kicked out of a piece of shit like this. He's like, I'm not even trying for anything better. Like,
he talks to himself a lot.
Poor guy.
And
he's alone a lot.
He is the gentlest, like, tough guy voice ever. Like, there's something in that moment where he gets thrown out of his trailer and he's just like, oh, I got thrown out of a piece of shit like this. Like, he's just so kind and gentle, and I felt so sad for him.
He's just so good and handsome.
I know,
great,
man. Dan Haggerty. All right.
Oh, if only you weren't dead.
We should do a Grizzly Adams podcast where we just watch Dan Haggerty over and over again.
We just look at one picture of him. Just go, yep. Just 5 minutes ago, and yep.
Welcome to Beardy, our Haggerty fan
Not
cast.
bad. So now we cut back to Kirsten, who sees that her wound on her hand from the beginning of the movie where she tried to light a candle, it's completely healed. And while she's sleeping that night, she hears something at the window and goes to see if it's Agamemnon. And it turns out that it's the elf holding up the dead cat carcass up against the window. And she freaks out about that. Her mom says it was just a raccoon. Her grandfather questions her about what she saw. Also, her grandfather, like I mentioned, is very German. I put that in the notes here. Don't remember why, because I guess I didn't mention it in my notes earlier. Kirsten ends up going back to bed, and her grandfather tells her mom. Now, mind you, these characters in the movie have no names. They're called Kirsten's grandfather and Kirsten's mom. So I got nothing else for that.
Yeah, it's okay.
But her grandfather tells her mom that the elf is here and that it killed the cat. And the mom is like, no, I killed the cat. I hated that cat. And the grandfather then takes some sort of crystal and wraps it like a red crystal and wraps it up in a cloth. So that's
I didn't understand
what
the
happened
crystal
there.
thing at all. But that's
The
okay.
crystal comes back later.
I mean, I know, but it's stupid. But that's okay.
Yeah, they keep showing the crystal and not telling us anything about it or even implying anything about it.
Yeah,
because he does something with it later, too. I think he dumps like some liquid on it and then just wraps it back up.
Yeah. And there's like another piece of it and he pieces it together and then takes it apart. And then there's like a crystal on top of another crystal and she puts her hand on it so it's glowing. It's like all this crystal shit and they just don't bother explaining any of it.
It's like
that's all right.
The writers took a writing class for movies and they learned about the concept of a MacGuffin, but not how to use a MacGuffin. So they're like, oh, we just need a thing. We need a thing that people need.
Yeah.
But you don't know why.
Don't worry, it doesn't have to make sense later. Yeah.
Make it shiny. That's
I
it.
do like that the mom yells at the grandma and she's like, you and your damn elves.
Say here, the elf lucha.
Start that again. You and your damn elves. I'm sick of it.
It killed the cat and dragged it to her window.
If you want to know, I killed the cat. The raccoon may have dragged it to the window. But I killed it.
Literally any time there's Dan Haggerty has an amazing line towards like later in the movie, but anytime people talk about elves, it just sounds so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And it's like the most like childish writing, and I am 100% in.
Are there other elf movies in this vein, like evil Christmas elves movies?
I mean, kind of with like Rare Exports, but that's done really well.
That's a good movie.
Do they use? I haven't seen Rare Exports. I know it by its reputation. Do they say elf in it, or do they treat it with like the Nazi thing, the zombie thing, where they flirt around, like they don't say zombie, but they describe zombies? Do they do that? Because that might help.
No, like the elves. So the elves, I think. And not to spoil too much, so if you don't want to know anything about Rare Exports, skip a little bit ahead. But the elves basically all look like Santa Claus, and they think it's Santa Claus at the beginning, but it turns out to be
they're
Santa's
elves.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Now I don't have to watch that movie. Thank you.
No, you should still watch it. It's fantastic.
All right, I will.
There's another Elves movie just called Elves too. That was like in the 2000s. But they look like little elves in like green outfits with like knives. I've never seen it. Looks like shit. But
so it must look better than this movie where the elf is, I think it's just a plastic mold from the shoulder up. And that's about it.
And you get a couple hands and feet, but you never see a torso.
And they show hands. They show the elf like holding things and like close-up shots, like cutaway shots of the. But the hands that they use are like solid rubber hands.
Oh, it's so bad
that they like shove objects into. Why not just wear a glove and move your fingers and just use editing to make it? Man, it was so frustrating.
It's also only one elf.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There's not multiple elves.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, it is just one elf. Yeah.
Should be called Elf.
But calling a movie Elf is dumb. Right?
Well,
no, you should never have a Christmas movie called Elf.
Maybe kind of like how the opening scene in this movie talk like these young girls are kind of onto something about like capitalism and commercialism and like hollowing out sacred like holiday traditions for, short-term gain or whatever. Like kind of how they were onto something. Maybe this movie's onto something, and that the real threat isn't the elf that everybody's talking about, but the secret fascism that's just hiding around them. That's what it is. All right, now this movie's good. I'm gonna watch it from that angle.
Yeah, that's exactly what the movie was saying.
Elves, the story of America. Here we go.
There we go. All right, so next day, we get a quick scene with Kirsten and Dan Haggerty meeting at the diner. She's working, he's eating. And Dan Haggerty ends up getting hired to be the new store Santa. Yay. And one of the best things is now we get to see in Santa's closet again, and the tape outline of where the dead body was is just still there.
Yeah. And there's like dried blood where he got stabbed in the dick. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It's like cleaned up.
Yeah.
His
dick blood.
He sleeps in there. Yeah.
And throughout that scene when he's first in there, he's like setting up his cot that he's gonna sleep in the mall in order to just have some shelter or whatever. He like talks to the chalk outline throughout that whole scene, which is adorable.
Yeah.
Is he calling him Eddie or something?
Something like that.
I think that's what Santa's name probably was. That's what I assumed. Yeah. But he also finds a little symbol carved into the floor. Which piques his interest as a former drunk detective, now recovering alcoholic Santa detective.
I would watch that movie in a heartbeat.
Chain smoker.
Yeah. Could this be a police procedural, please, on like CBS? Drunk detective Santa.
Investigating Christmas crimes.
Most of the episodes are just a drunken Santa trying to find the right tool to detect something, but his bag is too big, so it's just him drunkenly. Where'd you put the flashlight? I can't find the flashlight. Like Elves.
He keeps pulling things out, and he's just going like, no.
Mostly empty bottles.
Every week, it's just somebody different getting stabbed in the dick. He has to like figure out who did it.
We've got a dick stabber on the loose.
But the hook would be at the end of every season. There's one more hint that they add to the lore of the show where maybe it's just Santa drunk committing all these crimes and he doesn't remember it. So he's actually detecting himself.
Yeah, that's the secret series ending.
This show.
Let's get it made.
Done. Copyright, TM, copyright, TM, pay us money.
Hollywood, give us a call.
We got you.
Drunk detective, and we're bringing Dan Haggerty back to life, baby.
Hell yeah.
He's the only one that can play this role.
No, we're not. We're just going to shoot around his grave.
We just want to cast Dan Haggerty lookalikes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Come on, you fat bearded men. Bring it. We want all the fat bearded men we can get. Get our grubby hands on.
So now we have a tie-in reality show where it's us and America's Got Talent, like that kind of a show, but it's just looking for Dan Haggerty lookalikes to play drunk Santa.
Can you do jumping jacks while smoking a cigarette without falling out of your mouth?
All right, for your next trick, we're going to remove the cigarette, and you need to summon a new one. Here we go.
Oh man, love it. All right, so now we're back at Kirsten's house, and we got a bunch of Germans talking to her grandfather. One comment saying,
"Wait, you just brushed over the fact that there's now a bunch of Germans."
yeah. Well, that they're in the movie from here on out. So
what kind of Germans are they?
Well, right now they're just German.
Then I guess for now they're just German.
Okay.
But when you got a bunch of creepy Germans in the room, they're probably gonna turn out to be Nazis.
Whoa.
Yep.
Maybe it was like a bratwurst enthusiast club. Maybe they're like all talking about really crisp Belgian ales.
Well, maybe they were going to until the one says, "When there is no more room in hell, the elves will walk the earth."
You had us convinced they could not be resurrected. It's true. When there is no more room in hell, the elves will walk the earth. The elfin soul.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think they're there to talk about sauerkraut and doubles.
What's a double?
Isn't that how you pronounce the beer?
Oh.
Double?
I don't even know.
Or is it double?
I always just said double, but I like double now. I'm going to order a double.
Now.
Yeah.
It's German.
Is there like a red label double and a purple label double?
Purple label double.
How do you know which double you're getting?
You getting drunk at the bar, you start sloshing around a little bit.
You got a purple label double.
I got a little
Give me
purple label
all the-
double dribble.
Give me all the doubles.
Oh, man.
Make it a double.
I want a double double. So grandfather pulls a gun on our definitely Nazis. He pulls a gun on them, and they mention that Kirsten is the pure genetic line that they need, but the grandfather doesn't want anything to do with it, and he doesn't want Kirsten to have anything to do with it. And they also comment that I keep saying Kirsten, but I think it's Kirsten. She'll help grow the new order, and that's when you just straight up know they're Nazis.
Yeah, they're Nazis.
Yeah.
Straight up Nazis.
Totally.
All right. Well, we're back at the department store, and he's not in this scene, but the girls are discussing their plan to meet at the store that night and have some dudes over who are going to meet them. But they're talking in the diner, and we see that one of the Germans is overhearing their plans. So keep an eye out for that German boy. We also see that Dan Haggerty is now living in the store as well. But he leaves to go to the library to find a book on, as he says, quote, occult symbols and runes that he remembers from college.
I was into that shit once.
And the librarian tells him that it's in section 666.
Would you think that was an ad-libbed line when he's just like, that's got to be some kind of joke?
I love that this library scene's great because even when he's like reading, he's like talking to himself out loud while reading, and like a young girl behind him is studying or whatever, and she like shushes him, and he just like shushes her back.
Oh my God. Fitzpatrick, Taft University.
All right. So this next section, I'm going to summarize pretty much the next 20 minutes of the movie in just a couple sentences. So for a while, we see the girls getting ready for the night. They're trying on different lingerie. Mike ends up confronting them about being there, but they end up coming to an agreement that they won't bother each other because neither of them should be at the store. The Germans end up breaking in. Let me rephrase that. The Nazis end up breaking in because I do want to differentiate now.
Yes.
And also the elf is in the store. There's kind of a big gunfight. One of the girls is killed by the Nazis in an elevator.
She was fucking executed. They just
for no reason.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Like a young girl in an elevator with a bunch of Nazis, and they just fucking dome her.
Yeah.
She was the one in the lingerie.
Yeah, she was.
Listen, they're Nazis. They don't like white lingerie. Oh, wait, they would have loved the white lingerie.
Yeah.
They do the execution off camera, like you just hear it in the gunshot in the hallway. And it's kind of shocking.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, because the movie shows you like the guy pointing the gun at her head, and you kind of think, oh, he's just doing that because now that she's a hostage, and then it cuts to like another girl in the hallway or whatever, and you hear the gunshot, and it is. And it's the one disturbing moment in the movie.
Yeah. Well, also the cat drowning and the teenage girl being domed by a Nazi. Those are the two moments I was like, oh fuck, movie, come on.
The cat drowning is pretty rough.
Yeah. Especially since like the only character development we got from Kirsten or whatever is that she loves her cat. And then the following scene number 3 in the movie is her beloved cat being killed by her stupid, awful mom who I hate. Hate that mom.
What? When the girls are getting ready to like party and the one's like, I'm wearing lingerie. I can't remember the setup, but there's like this exchange of dialogue where I can't remember how it's set up, but the one girl is like, no way. And the other one's like, way. She's like, no way. And then the other girl's like, whatever. And then it just ends. It's the best. It's the best dialogue. It's great.
Hey, Brooke, check this out.
What kind of slut dog suit is that?
No way.
No way.
Way.
I said no way.
Whatever.
All right, so one of the friends is killed by a Nazi. The other is killed by the elf, which was a surprise. And the elf is wearing the Santa hat as he stabs her multiple times.
Which, kind of counteracts the horror a little bit. It's kind of pleasant. I think if I was dying by being stabbed to death by an elf in a Santa hat, I think I would rotate between like screaming and being like, oh,
stop it. Yeah. Stop it, you cutie pie.
Oh, damn. If it wasn't for the stabbing bit, this would be great.
That was a weird kill. He like gave her a teddy bear first. Like he dropped the teddy bear in her lap and she hugged it. Right? And then he chased her down, caressed her face, stabbed her to death. Like he was kind of like playing with her. And that's why I thought the hat, maybe he was just like screwing around with her.
Like goofing.
You know what I think? And I don't know if this will ruin the movie a little bit later, but like, I think he was trying to figure out if she was Kirsten.
Okay. And that's like caressing her face. Like he was like,
is he blind?
Connecting?
Was he like brailing her face? Is that what it was?
I think he's dumb. No, I don't know. So he might just not be able to differentiate until like
he touches him or something.
Touches.
Yeah, because it was Brooke that he went after, that he killed.
I mean, there was a scene earlier where we did mention that the elf digs up the dead cat and like holds it in front of the window for no reason, right? Maybe to assume intelligence, although maybe he's just like really into psychologically fucking with his victims, because that's pretty fucked up.
Because he knows that she loved the cat. He was bringing the cat back to her.
Oh, was he a helpful elf?
Yeah, every time. So the elf watched while she was being quote unquote attacked by her little brother, and then the elf attacked the little brother.
Oh my god!
Oh man, I didn't even put that together.
Holy shit!
The elf is protecting her.
You're right.
Oh, I didn't get that. That's cool. Yeah.
Now, why it killed her one of her best friends, I don't know, but that one doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the elf wants her to be alive. Wants her to be protected.
You know what? That makes sense based on what we're going to talk about later. I think that kind of makes sense. Why didn't I think of that? Movie, you let me down. I'm not blaming myself.
Well, it wasn't the movie.
Blaming the movie.
the movie lays it out. So there's a gunfight in the store. Dan Haggerty is protecting Kirsten, who is now the final girl of her friends that's still alive. The cops end up coming. The Germans retreat and run away. And Dan Haggerty sees a new symbol on the ground. I think next to Brooke's body, and painted in her blood. It kind of looks like a sickle with a line through it. And during this whole scene, both Dan Haggerty and Kirsten, they both saw the elf, but no one will believe them. Like they're trying to tell the cop that comes there that there was a 2-foot troll running around. And as that scene ends, we do get a quick little scene of the elf. I think he's eating one of the dead girl's hands.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was implying.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
It looked like he was
I don't know if
trying
he was
to,
like drinking the blood or what, but
yeah. Looked like he was gagging himself so he could throw up.
He wants to look good for the big day, you know? December the 25th.
All right, yeah. He's gotta lose weight.
He's got a hat he wants to look nice in.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? I think we kind of like breezed by it, but it's a good Dan Haggerty moment. I want to point it out that earlier, like when he's getting ready for his first shift as a Santa Claus, there's like a little sequence where we see him like putting on the suit, and then he's like in the mirror, like brushing his hair or whatever. And then there's a shot where he's brushing his teeth while simultaneously smoking a cigarette. And I think that's like the toughest shit I've ever seen. A Santa brushing his teeth while smoking a cigarette. I love that.
Yeah, didn't you say there's a supercut of just all the scenes with him smoking?
Hell yeah.
On
and
YouTube.
It's like 8 minutes of the movie is watching this man drag on cigarettes. It's the best.
I gotta watch that.
Oh, it's so good. Dan Haggerty, your lungs might be black, but you make my heart red.
He also, because we only see him as Santa really just for a little bit, but he ends up getting peed on by a little kid, which is pretty great.
Yeah, that's right.
I think he says something about like, he's like cleaning himself off in the back, and he says like, one day you're on the top of the world and the next day you're getting peed on.
I mean, it makes sense. There's also another fun moment right before this mall sequence that just went down where all these people like died. And we're about to find out about the mall manager being a real asshole about it. Do you remember when the boys that were coming to meet them at the mall were trying to break in because they couldn't find a door that was unlocked? And there's like three guys, they're all teenagers, and one of them's like getting really maybe a little bit too violent about like trying to break down the door. And the other two guys like pull him back and they're like, calm down, man, calm down. We'll find something. And he's just like, sorry, guys, hormones.
Boys will be boys.
That was so self-aware. It was adorable. Sorry, guys, hormones.
Yeah, I also skipped over the like whole Scooby-Doo-ness of like the door getting locked and unlocked.
Yeah.
Where like so like Dan Haggerty leaves, he puts a piece of tape over the lock, so when he shuts it, can just be pushed back open. Kirsten removes it, puts it back on because the boys have to get in, so like Dan Haggerty can get back in now, and then he rips it off again. It's a whole thing,
back and forth and back and forth. They spend 15 minutes focusing on the physics of tape and door locks, but we don't learn anything about this fucking elf. So yeah, the priorities are smack dab right where they should be.
Listen, that's coming up. So yeah, Dan mentioned the store manager is a douchebag. He's yelling at Kirsten for being there, and how she'll have to pay for all the damages and all the cleaning. And her response to him was like super good, and I wish I wrote it down.
I'm sorry my friend's bled all over your fucking store. You want me to stay here and clean it up, asshole?
Yeah, that's I don't know. I feel like that dialogue right there like really kind of set her as like herself, like she was standing up for herself at that point, which was pretty cool.
Necessary.
And also she just watched two of her friends die and got attacked by a little fucking ninja troll and a bunch of Nazis.
And her manager at the department store, essentially the response to seeing his employee like fucking traumatized at the premises, whether or not she was meant to be there. Like his response to that is like, well, your shift starts early tomorrow because you got a lot to mop. Like it's so fucking seedy.
Yeah. But her and Dan Haggerty both get fired from their job, and they end up going back to Kirsten's house, and they try to tell her mom about what they saw. Her mom's not having any of it. She calls the police because Mike is trespassing, or Dan Haggerty is trespassing. He starts to leave, and the grandfather stops him and tells him that like he can't stop the forces that are happening. He has Dan Haggerty explain what he saw. And while he's kind of talking to him, Dan Haggerty sees that same like sickle cross symbol carved into like the floorboard. And then after he leaves, the grandfather tells Kirsten to pack up because she's in danger, because of the destiny that he's made for her. So we're learning more and more that the grandfather's involved in this elf Nazi situation.
Oh man,
this movie goes places.
I mean, yeah. If somebody was to come to me and be like, "Yo, write a movie about elves," I probably wouldn't have included Nazis, which I think would have been a mistake on my part because clearly it works.
I think so.
I think it works.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So now we're going to start learning a bit more because Dan Haggerty goes and visits who I believe is the writer of that occult book that he took from the library. And this professor or whatever he is, he dumps a lot of exposition about elves. He says that the symbol that Dan Haggerty found is attributed to the elves, and the elves are mentioned in the Bible in Genesis with Noah's Ark. He talks about like the
creeping little things.
That's not bugs or anything. It's elves.
Which is a take. That's a take.
Dan Haggerty's like, no shit.
I believe you without question.
Yeah. And he says that the Nazis were also super interested in elves as well. And this professor sends him to go see another guy to learn more about what the Nazis were doing with elves.
I gotta mention when he goes to the library for that Dr. Fitzpatrick or professor or whatever, the girl in the lobby is like, no smoking. And then he goes in and the doctor's smoking like a big ass pipe the entire time. In fact, he stops to like reload it and like fire it back up.
I didn't even put that together. That's great.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's so funny. And meanwhile, like Dan Haggerty, the actor, in every scene he's not smoking a cigarette, you could just see him turning paler and paler.
He's just dying, yeah.
His hands are shaking, rushing all of his lines.
This professor, Fitzpatrick, is incredible.
Oh, he's great.
Like, you could tell they just picked him off of, like, a local theater stage.
Yes.
Just still wearing those clothes. They were just like, well, we just need you to deliver a bunch of exposition because we're getting halfway through this movie.
Oh, he was loving life. You could tell. He was loving it.
Yeah.
Also, in the book, he, like, flips to an elf drawing. And it's just like a rape scene.
That's
like,
right.
What book is this in? He's like,
I will say I respect that the drawing of the elf looks like our elf in the movie.
That is true.
At least.
Yeah. They must have had like an artist that did two drawings. Like the woman in the beginning and then this rape drawing.
Yeah.
The director gave very specific instructions for both.
Yeah. They spent all their money hiring this artist.
Yeah. It's attention to detail, baby. Elves has it in spades.
Sure it does.
Yeah. So even if you picked up the movie, like started watching it from here, you're good. This is probably about 45 minutes into the movie. You don't need that much beforehand.
Oh, there's also...
I mean, the dick stabbing scene's worth it. And Santa Says Oral.
Right.
Don't forget about Santa Says Oral.
Yeah. All right. Well, there are moments, but plot-wise, we're digging into the plot now, though.
You're right. You're right.
Sorry, not to beat this dead horse here, but the professor also, there's also a line where he's like, are you asking me if I believe in elves? He's like, no, but God did. What? I love it.
Again, you're really basing it on a incredible interpretation of one line.
So weird.
That tracks. I mean, that's all anybody does, right?
Well, yeah, but there are many other things that could be the creeping things.
No, I think it's elves. Actually, I don't know about you. I'm convinced. I'm there. I'm here for it.
I will join a religion that believes that. Well, no, hold on. That's Nazism. I don't want to. I take that back. I don't want to join it.
I would join if they didn't have all those crystals. Not the Nazi part. The
crystal bullshit.
Elves.
Yeah, and working on Christmas Eve.
Gross.
So now we Dan Haggerty leaves Professor Kirkpatrick's house, and now we're back at Kirsten's house, and her grandfather dumps something on the crystal. I think it's water or some sort of liquid, and her mom is upstairs talking to her, and she's freaking out, and she finally admits, and this is why she's she's got a lot of trauma that's making her horrible, is that her grandfather is actually her father. So Kirsten's grandfather is both her grandfather and her father because her father raped her mother and impregnated her when she was 16.
I wish you were dead and Dad was still alive.
Dad? Dad? You want to talk to Dad? Go down to the study and talk to him.
When are you saying Dad's dead?
Dad is in the study.
Grandfather is in the study.
Your father isn't dead. The man in the study is your grandfather. And your father!
Am I getting this right? So my understanding, having seen this movie, 3 times now, I'm hoping I get this right. She is a direct descendant of Hitler.
I don't know.
He is of like pure Aryan blood. So only he could he felt like only he could impregnate her in order to keep their bloodline pure. And that would make her, Kirsten, the hero of the movie, some kind of like uber Nazi woman thing.
Yes. Yeah. The goal was to have that pure bloodline. Whether it's a descendant of Hitler, I don't know, because the grandfather would have been like working for Hitler.
Yeah. And I at this point, I just want to remind everybody in the room here that this movie is called Elves. So, yeah, this is where we are. We got here. We climbed this mountain.
He goes on to explain that she was drugged and unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I took no pleasure in it. It's like, oh, well, okay. No, everything's fine.
I mean, that's also biblical. You should read the story of Lot. That happens a lot in the Bible. Whoa, wordplay. All right. Anyway.
Yeah. But so, yeah, after this bombshell revelation, her mom ends up hitting Kirsten, and we see that the elf was either watching or listening the whole time. And as mentioned earlier, this elf doesn't like when somebody is hurting Kirsten.
Is it because her blood is what summoned him? Is that what like links the two of them? Or is it because the Nazi Aryan bullshit's actually real in the fiction of this movie and the Nazis bound to some like uber perfect Nazi blood thing? The elf, is bound to the perfect blood. Which is it chicken or egg? Is it her blood is what bound them, or is it because her blood is Nazi blood? That's why he's into it.
She was made. Well, so hold on. We're going to find out a little bit more.
He's got a job to do.
Yeah, he's got a job.
Yes.
We're going to learn a little bit more here because we cut to Dan Haggerty barging in on a family's Christmas Eve dinner to find out more about Nazis and elves.
I love this scene.
The doctor ends up telling him that the Nazis, there's 2 kind of schools of thought on what the Nazis were trying to do with elves. One was to create like an army of super soldiers, because elves are small and quiet and magical.
Elf
so
assassination
they're like good assassins.
Squads. Yeah. Yeah, I love that theory.
And then the other theory is that it was to create a human elf hybrid that would become the master race and basically take over and end the world. And this baby, this first hybrid, would need to be conceived at midnight on Christmas Eve with a perfect virgin, which is what Kirsten is. Because she's talked about a couple times throughout the movie how she doesn't want to have sex yet, and until she finds the right person. And I skipped over it, but there is a scene where I think she's talking to Amy or Brooke and at back at the department store, and Brooke's like, "Oh, are you really gonna do it tonight?" And she's like, "Nah, probably not." And Brooke's just like, "Well, how are you gonna stop him?" She's like, "I'm just gonna say no."
Oh yeah, that's right.
Brooke just goes like, "Yeah, it's messed up." Brooke just goes like, "Oh, does that work? Like, I don't really like confrontation. I'd rather just go ahead and do it."
You're not really gonna do it, are you?
Those guys, forget it. I'm saving it for someone special.
But how do you stop them?
Just say no. It scares the hell out of them. They don't know how to deal with it.
I'd rather just go through with it than get in a confrontation. It's easier.
I think she implies in that like she's probably been taken advantage of before, I guess, because she didn't think no was an option.
So not good.
Hey, 1989. And maybe this is another one of those moments where you can be like, hey, movies are time machines. We're not that anymore. That's nice to know. I hope not.
Yeah. No means no.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, kids, don't be a Nazi. Don't trust elves you meet on the street. And, no means no.
Yeah, and don't bother with crystals. We're a waste of time.
Yeah, huge waste of fucking time. Also,
that's Eric's big takeaway.
And when if you're counting money or you're in a library, like flipping through pages, don't lick your fingers. It's disgusting.
If your Nazi grandpa's in a wheelchair and he tries to hit you, fucking hit him back. He's in a wheelchair. You're gonna win that fight every time.
Or just walk away.
No, hit him back. He's a Nazi grandpa.
No, I'm saying you can. Well, she didn't know he was a Nazi grandpa
I'm saying
yet.
God took his legs and you can take the rest. That's what I'm saying. Fuck you, Nazi grandpa. You can fall out of that chair.
Oh man,
that scene at that dude's house where they interrupt him, like literally cutting the Christmas turkey, and he's explaining everything. When he's talking about the Virgin and the midnight consummation, they just go to a shot of his two little girls in their Christmas dresses, and they're just like listening intently, all politely to him, like spewing all this insanity.
Tell us more about the virgins, Papa.
yeah, crazy.
But also, it also opens like he's cutting the turkey, but with an electric knife.
Yeah,
and oh my god, it's so loud. Like I use an electric knife to carve turkeys. I don't recommend filming a movie with that.
It was a choice.
Rough sound.
Yeah, every time I see one of those, I think you're going to murder somebody with it, and he didn't. Like, oh, an elf's getting cut up.
It's like a Chekhov's electric knife. If you're going to show one, it's got to saw through some bone at some point.
Yeah, doesn't one of the girls cut their arms off in the Evil Dead remake with one?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that movie. The Evil Dead remake is so fucking good. That's such a good movie. I feel like a lot of people trashed on it just because it was a remake, but that is a high quality film in its own right. Wonderful parable for addiction. Really incredible. Shit ton of blood. I love that ending. It was so good. You guys want to talk about that movie instead? Fuck Elves.
We're actually almost done.
Let's do
here.
this thing.
Well, we got about 3/4 of a page here.
All right.
Yeah, and actually at the end of that scene, one of the little girls asks her dad, or the professor or doctor or whatever. She's just like,
Daddy, what's elves?
Elves.
Because she pronounced it wrong.
Speaking of Nazis, he's a real grammar Nazi.
Yep. Don't want him on Facebook or Twitter. I don't know. You can cut that.
I feel like Facebook doesn't give a fuck about grammar.
So yeah, now we gotta now that we've kind of learned that Kirsten is in trouble, Mike starts heading back to his house, and he's driving in his car only to find the most cartoonish bomb in his car. So instead of he actually picks it up, looks at it, instead of throwing it out the window, he just puts it down and jumps himself out of the car.
Badass.
And his car crashes and it explodes. And one of the Nazis was following him, and he pulls up. They end up fighting, and the Nazi is killed, and Dan Haggerty steals the Nazi's car to continue going to Kirsten's house. But when they're fighting,
I know,
Dan Haggerty's he's just got him on the ground, just punching him in the face and asking him like questions every time he punches him in the face. And like, it's just so good when he says something like, what are you, a fucking Nazi? Is that elf yours?
He says,
it's so absurd.
He says, how many teeth you got? And then he punches him a couple times. He goes, now how many teeth you got? It's like all of a sudden he turns into a badass.
Yeah, world
He's
star.
rolling out of cars, punching Nazis in the face. Great.
Is this elf yours?
Does he belong to you?
Oh yeah, does this elf belong to you?
Like the Nazis picking up the elf after school.
And I assume the Nazi died via like capsule, like one of those like what are they keeping their teeth?
Yeah, he definitely
ate a cyanide capsule. Yeah,
ate a poison pill. Yeah.
So
you
now
could say he took the red pill. Sorry, carry on. You keep going.
All right, so now Dan.
Bathtub scene.
Man, you do keep your stuff pretty good. No, actually, I have one more thing before that, but So Dan Haggerty's heading to Kirsten's house. The grandfather is currently telling Kirsten about how he had raped her mother to conceive her because she would end up being the perfect bloodline because they were going to have an elf bang her. So that's kind of where the revelation of kind of the extent of that came in. So now we do have the quick scene of her mom getting naked and taking a bath, and the elf killing her by dropping a radio into the water, and you get a lot of that exaggerated electrocution acting.
It's the best.
And nudity's not that bad. Not that bad.
I just like seeing that mom die. See you later. Bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way to hell.
Ode to Joy is playing loudly.
Yeah.
Like she's taking a relaxing bath to Ode to Joy.
Lighting candles, pouring hot water, getting stuff, a little bath bomb.
I could put some Enya on, but it's fuck that. Ode to Joy is my jams.
Yeah.
I need to find some Creative Commons music. Let's go to some public domain stuff.
I really like to find my center with Handel's Messiah.
I swear when she's getting electrocuted and they show the elf over the tub, it looks like he's banging his head. Like,
yeah,
I don't know
it
if he's
really does.
laughing or enjoying it or what, but he's like, it looks like he's banging his head to the music. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
was a weird reaction.
Yeah, it was strange.
But he does that for about 2 seconds, and then he just like turns his shoulders and walks away.
Yeah, he scurries
kind of waddles away.
He's like, that's enough of that. Also, before she gets in the tub, she's just smearing lipstick all over her mouth like a crazy person in the mirror.
Oh, she's lost her mind at this point.
She's gone bonkers.
Well, she had to admit like her trauma.
Yeah, she's going.
So I kind of get it.
Yeah.
And she's probably
killed
not
her
that
daughter's
upset.
cat and was mean. So bye.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, Dan, you asked if there's any cool shots. I think that her nude in the tub with the bloody symbol on the side of the tub, like spotlit, I think that's kind of a cool shot.
Oh, that's a fair point. That is a good point.
I thought that was kind of neat.
This whole sequence was pretty great, actually. Her whole death sequence and her in the mirror, like you said, like slathering the makeup on, it was pretty cool, pretty effective.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch her character, because her character is completely different but when she dies than when you first meet her in the movie. When you first meet her, she's kind of like an Angela from The Office type, like really buttoned together and like prissy. But by the time she dies, she's just gone. She's off the deep end. Deservedly so. See you later. I would say enjoy your time in hell, but it's full. So I guess you're going to be an elf. Is she going to be an elf?
You're going to be an elf that walks the earth.
Yep. Have fun. Looking for virgins, I guess.
Who's got a bank account now?
Bitch.
So we got Dan Haggerty getting to the house, and he's coming to take Kirsten and I guess ultimately her brother to safety. We learned that the grandfather was a Nazi scientist who helped kind of develop the elf, and that the elf human baby would grow up to be the Antichrist. He also shows her the crystal, which I think he calls an elf stone.
Yep.
And so that's important, maybe. But he says that she'll know, like, she needs this crystal to kill the elf, but he doesn't tell her how. He just says that she'll know inside of her how to kill the elf.
Yeah.
Now we got a big fight scene happens in the house. The grandfather ends up getting killed. Dan Haggerty gets shot. But Kirsten and her brother escape, but she leaves without taking the crystal.
Did you mention they're fighting Nazis, that Nazis broke into the house? Aren't they fighting Nazis at this point?
Yes.
They are. Yeah, sorry. The Nazis broke in and are trying to take Kirsten.
Yes, they want to kidnap her because she's like perfect Nazi, I guess. Or they want to be able to control the elves or something. They have motivations, so they're killing everybody.
So they want to take her to the elf.
Yeah.
So
the boy, the brother asks, he's like, are we going to be all right? And Kristen's like, no, Will, Gramps is a Nazi.
Well, Dan Haggerty also is like she's walking around the house and finds the mom dead in the tub, and the little boy is just like, we have to get mom, and he's just like, she'll be fine, she'll be fine.
He's taking a nap.
She's taking a nap in the tub.
The water.
Taking a very warm. It's an electrifying nap.
You know how grouchy she gets when we interrupt Ode to Joy.
There's also the scene where they connect the Art Deco drawing boobs and just make swastika boobs.
I was waiting for that reveal. Yeah, that's the best. It's like the worst possible like the first time they show those boobs, you can kind of see the swastikas, and it's just such a ridiculous moment when they like put the overlay on it and like twist the titties. And all right. I'm tickled by that. That was a fun reveal.
It's good stuff. Yeah. So Kirsten and her brother.
Swastitsa. Sorry, carry on.
That's what you texted us.
Yeah.
I didn't put two and two together.
She had swastitsas.
Nice.
That's it. That was my joke.
That was a good
Thank
joke. A day later.
Yeah, I'm kind of milking it, but that's what it is.
So yeah, Kirsten and her brother are running through the forest. And they end up at the spot where the elf was raised from the ground. The last remaining Nazi finds her, and she starts struggling to like get away from him. And he's saying like, I don't want to hurt you. Like, I love you. You are everything we've been waiting for. But as she's struggling to get away, the elf shoots the Nazi.
Yeah.
and it's an absurd shot. Like when the camera turns to see the elf just holding the gun, my mind exploded.
It's the pinnacle of cinema. I think we cracked it, guys. I think we can wrap up this podcast.
Yeah, we found the best shot.
What was I even saying this movie wasn't interesting to look at? There's a scene in this movie where an elf holds a gun.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
This is why we go scene by scene, so we can re-experience it together. Yeah, so now that the elf has killed kind of the final Nazi, Kirsten sends her brother back to the house to go get the crystal. The scene cuts away to her brother kind of running around trying to get back to the house. He gets to the house.
I love this. Yeah.
And we learn that Dan Haggerty is still alive, and he gives the boy the crystal, and he ends up running back to Kirsten. The elf, meanwhile, is making his moves on her. He's at one point he like grabs a bug. We've seen that the elf eat bugs, so he grabs a bug and goes to eat it, but then tries to get her to eat it. Like he's being nice to her.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning what this elf is gonna do, but
yeah, he's like a cat. He's like bringing a dead mouse to her doorstep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the brother ends up giving Kirsten the crystal, and she ends up jamming it into the elf hole in the ground, not into the elf's hole.
Well,
and the hole explodes, and the elf ends up dying in very blurry elf vision. But yeah, so after the elf dies, it starts snowing like Kirsten wanted for Christmas. And but then it fades out. The movie fades to black, but to a shot of a small fetus and the sound of a heartbeat. So Kirsten, it's implied, I assume, that Kirsten is now pregnant with the Antichrist elf.
So
when? When did that happen?
Did he do something to her?
I think that's what they're implying.
How? But yeah, I was confused by that. It looked like he tried to give her a bug and he touched her leg. You know?
Yeah, he basically he touched her as much as evil, like the shitty Santa did earlier.
Yeah.
But it did cut away to the brother for what in kind of real time would have been a decent amount of time.
Oh, that's disturbing, right?
For an elf's first bang session, that's all you would need, really.
Like, why else would they have the kid return to the previous set? Like, if he needed the crystal for the final sequence, then they could have just written a line where it's like, grab the crystal, let's go. And he grabs the crystal and they wouldn't have to return. What I loved about that return visit that the brother makes to the house is he like arrives in the house, is kind of like frantically looking around for this crystal, and then Dan Haggerty, who we assume at this point is dead, just like pops up from the bottom left corner of the screen and is just like, here's your crystal, kid. And then the kid just leaves again. And that's like Dan Haggerty's
I know
last
this
line.
is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I'm in this movie.
My beard told me you'd be looking for this. Yeah, so I was trying to grapple with this ending and figure out what actually happened, and the best I can come up with is, assuming the best about the writers that I can, they had the brother leave the scene, like they set up so the brother would have to leave in order for us to not know, which tells me that they want to imply something.
Sure. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So Elfetus, Zane. It's full
and
German.
If you're following a character that's leaving the scene, now you don't have to show it.
Yeah, because it's an elf.
Like,
it's
also it's really just an elf head. The sex scene would probably be pretty difficult to film.
It would be easy to film. The sex scene would be a puppeteer having sex while there's a elf puppet on his arm. Yeah, the movie goes off the rails at the end.
Yeah, so now we got credits. And that was Elves, and it involved one elf, Nazis, magic crystals, Dan Haggerty, AA Santa, dick stabbing,
a potential elf antichrist,
the Sisters of Anti-Christmas.
All right, let's stab this movie to death with a let's suck on a candy cane until it's got a really sharp point, and then let's stab this fucking movie to death.
Time for the ratings.
So here on Stabby Stabby, we like to rate movies by stabbing them. Stabbing is something we do affectionately here. So, this holiday season, maybe instead of going out to the store and waiting in line and buying a thing, or you could order online, but then, the box might arrive, it might not. You got to open the box. That's a pain in the ass.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, you could just stab your friends, and we do it affectionately, and the more we stab something, the more we love it. So 10 stabs means it's a movie that, we will take to our graves because we love it so much, and 1 stab means it's probably not a movie. So, let's stab this movie to death. Eric, what'd you think of this movie?
I think I'm having a hard time rating this movie because when I watched it last year, I guess maybe last year was my first time. It was sitting in my collection like many movies are, being unwatched. And the first time I saw it, it was so insane with all the crazy plot points. And it was so unexpected. I was like, I love this movie. I'm going to watch it every holiday, every Christmas. And then when I just rewatched it, I think it lost a little bit in value to me. Anyway, all right, I think I'm going to go 7 on this one. It's absurd. It's mindless insanity. It has that hodgepodge plot points that I talked about. I don't know why inbreeding produces the master race, but that's okay. I would like to see a restoration. The copy that I watched is still pretty muddy. So I think it deserves a restoration and could get an annual watch during the holidays. I could pair this with Santa with Muscles, which I watch every year.
Is that the Hulk Hogan movie?
Yes.
Yep. Nice.
I force my children to watch it every year, and they groan, and I think they secretively like it. But not going to show them Elves. I'm going to skip that one.
I'd like to imagine the scene with the professor at the dinner table with all of his kids, but it's just you with Santa with muscles instead of explaining elves. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Carry on.
That's it. Yeah, I think I go 7. I'm not going to go crazy on this one, but it's definitely worth a watch if you have never seen it, especially around the holidays. It's nuts. Shows its age in certain spots with some of the language and cat killing, but it's still pretty fun and crazy. Let's see. How about Greg? What do you think?
So I would give this, I'm going to give it 7.5 stabs. I do think it's unfortunate that I do think after like multiple viewings, this movie does kind of lose its luster a little bit. Like you said, I've probably watched this 6 times at this point. It's super fun, but it really drags. Like the gunfight in the whole department store scene. It's like 25 minutes of the movie, and you don't really need all that much from it. It's just kind of it's really trying to fit every single idea that they possibly could come up with into the movie, and it doesn't all work. But the good stuff shines like a Christmas star above Jerusalem, Bethlehem, whichever city. Dan Haggerty is amazing.
He is.
He's just the sweetest possible man in this movie, and I love him to death. And I think Kirsten does actually a pretty good job. The mom is overacting, and she plays her part really well. All the actors, even the local theater actors, I assume, that played the like professor and doctor were great. So there's enough good stuff for me to say like, yes, I have and I will watch this movie probably every December, along also with Christmas and Santa with Muscles and the Star Wars Holiday Special. So like, nice. I have plenty of things that I watch every year. And this is one. So I recommend it if you haven't seen it, because it's dumb, it's ridiculous, but it is a hell of a first watch. So yes, 7.5 stabs from me on this Christmas miracle of Elves.
Oh my God, it's snowing. Look outside, guys.
It's a joy.
Wait, let's stop holding hands and look out the window.
No, can we all just run to the window together?
That makes more sense.
We can, after Dan gives his stab ratings. How would you rate Elves, Dan?
I was gonna give it a 5, but I think after talking about it, and well, I feel like it's closer to a 6 than a 5. Maybe I should do 5.5, but I'm gonna give it a 6. I'm gonna give it a 6 for all the same reasons you guys just listed. Like you just like I don't even need to repeat it. You're right. It's too long in the middle. There's like whole sequences they could have chopped down. Even though like the killer part is. There are, like you said, the mall scene is like 20 minutes of kind of wasted time. Like any scene with the Nazis, the novelty of there being Nazis in a Christmas elf horror movie is fun, but every scene with the Nazis, like I was rolling my eyes and I just wanted them to stop talking. And like I wanted more scenes with Dan Haggerty. Like he was amazing. I don't know, but even then, like the mall sequence, that little exchange with like the teenage boys trying to break in and one of them blames hormones, like that's fucking funny. Like so there would be 10 minutes of nothing happening, and then a girl gets capped in an elevator, and then 10 more minutes, and then an elf wearing a Santa hat stabs somebody. Like if there are peaks and valleys in this movie, and sometimes when I watch it the peaks overshadow the valleys, and other times it's the other way around. I'll probably watch this again next year. This will definitely be an annual rotation for me, but it's going to be one that I have on in the background while I'm like mulling wine or doing other like festive holiday things. So yeah, 6. 6 from me. We should sign off on this podcast, and then we can go shuffle over to the window and press our cheeks to the glass.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening. If you got this far, if you wouldn't mind, it would really help us out. One, if you could just leave us a 5-star rating. We make a lot of jokes. This holiday season, we want to say thank you for listening to us. And if you want to get us something for the holidays, our first choice would probably be for you to mail us cash. If you can't do that, leave us a 5-star rating. Leave us a 5-star rating. We really appreciate it. It really does help us out. Also, if you don't mind, share. Send this podcast to somebody that you think it might offend or whatever, like please do. We would love to kind of get the word out a little bit. That'd be nice. Greg, how can we learn more about this podcast and what we're watching next?
You can come on over to Instagram at Stabby Pod, and we will light your Yule log. We will put some liquor in your hot apple cider, and we will kiss you on the mouth.
Here on Instagram. Oh yeah, it escalated.
There we go. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Under the mistletoe. That was a Christmas thing I meant. But yeah, at StabbyPod on Instagram, we announce the next movie we're watching every Wednesday, so you can get caught up and spoil it yourself instead of letting us spoil it for you. And you can enjoy our discussion maybe a little more because you've already seen it and know what the hell kind of bullshit happened.
I think that's everything. So thank you so much for listening. And, Eric, what do we like to do to people around here?
Don't forget to stab your friends.
Oh,
Merry Christmas! Santa's back and he hates this podcast.
I say let's stab Santa.
Stab me, boys.
Ghosts of Santa is back.
Oh, stab me all night long, boys. Ho, ho, ho.
Santa sounds depressed. Are you Dan Haggerty, Santa?
I got kicked out of my Santa trailer.
Santa needs a cigarette.